All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Sarabjit Kaur and with me is Subhadra Ramachandran. The headlines. Former Jharkhand Governor Draupadi Murmu to be BJP-led NDA candidate for presidential polls. Opposition to field Yashwant Sinha as its candidate. Political crisis deepens in Maharashtra. Rebel Shiv Sena leader Eknath Shinde claims support of 40 MLAs. Rebel MLAs shifted to Guwahati from Surat. Prime Minister to attend 14th Brics summit hosted by China virtually on 23rd and 24th of this month. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to hold bilateral talks with Australian Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister Richard Marles in New Delhi today. One Nation, One Ration card scheme becomes operational in the entire country with its implementation in Assam. IMD issues orange alert for heavy rain till Saturday in coastal region of Maharashtra and Mumbai. Indian women's hockey team announced for FIH Women's Hockey World Cup. Indian women's wrestling team wins Under-17 Asian Championship with a total of 8 gold in Kyrgyzstan. And Madhya Pradesh to take on Mumbai in Ranji Trophy finals in Bengaluru today. As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. Recalling our yesterday's question, name the journalist from Bihar who, through his writings, drew Mahatma Gandhi's attention to the distress of the indigo farmers of Champaran. The correct answer is Peer Muhammad Munis, a Hindi journalist from Champaran. AIR News got an overwhelming response from its listeners across the world, and the one lucky winner of the quiz is Shatpada K from Hyderabad, Telangana.
I am Shatpada. It's a great honor for being selected as the winner of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav quiz. From my childhood, I have been listening to AIR News, a habit imbibed from my parents. AIR News is reliable, authentic, and has the right pronunciation. Thank you, AIR.
The next question of Amrit Mahotsav quiz will be shared with the listeners on Monday, 27th June. Celebrate 75 years of India's independence by participating in Amrit Mahotsav quiz with AIR News. And now the news in detail. Former Jharkhand Governor Draupadi Murmu will be BJP-led NDA candidate for the presidential polls. Briefing media after the BJP Parliamentary Board meeting in New Delhi, Party Chief JP Nadda said, for the first time, preference has been given to a woman tribal candidate. He said the BJP Parliamentary Board discussed 20 names for the presidential nominee and it was decided to pick someone from East India, a tribal and a woman.
एनडीए के घटक के लोगों के साथ बातचीत करते हुए और लगभग 20 नामों पर हमारे यहाँ लंबे दौर की चर्चा हुई और चर्चा में एक सर्वसम्मति इस बात पर बनी कि हमें प्रत्याशी के रूप में कोई भारत के पूर्वी क्षेत्र से ढूंढना चाहिए और हमारा प्रयास हो महिला को हमको स्थान देना चाहिए। आज तक कोई आदिवासी ट्राइबल प्रत्याशी राष्ट्रपति के रूप में नहीं आया है, इसलिए हमें पहली बार कोई ट्राइबल को एनडीए की तरफ से हम कैंडिडेट बना सकेंगे, ऐसा पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड का मत था और इसलिए श्रीमती द्रौपदी मुर्मू को राष्ट्रपति का प्रत्याशी घोषित किया गया है एनडीए की तरफ से।
Ms. Murmu said she is surprised to learn about her candidature and is unable to believe it. She noted that she will work according to the powers of the President enshrined in the Constitution. The former Jharkhand governor said she will reach out to members of the Electoral College for their support. Our Bhubaneswar correspondent has filed this report.
If elected, and expectedly so, Draupadi Murmu would be the first tribal woman to occupy the topmost constitutional post in the country. Srimati Murmu, born in 1958, was brought up in the tribal zone of Mayurbhanj district in Odisha. She is a well-known tribal leader with vast experience in administration. She was a minister in the Naveen Patnaik ministry during 2000 to 2004, besides serving as the governor of Jharkhand between 2015 to 2021. Srimati Murmu, known for her simplicity and straightforwardness, had also been honored with the Best MLA Award by the Odisha Legislative Assembly in 2007. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed confidence that Ms. Murmu will be a great President of India. Mr. Modi said she devoted her life to serving society, empowering poor, downtrodden, marginalized, and she has rich administrative experience and had an outstanding gubernatorial tenure. Home Minister Amit Shah said that it is a very important moment for the country when Ms. Murmu has been named as NDA's presidential candidate. He said this decision will take tribal pride to new heights. In a series of tweets, Mr. Shah said several steps have been taken in the direction of women empowerment and restoration of tribal identity under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the last 8 years. Meanwhile, former Union Minister Yashwant Sinha will be the opposition's candidate for the presidential election. Opposition parties announced his name after their meeting in New Delhi. In a joint statement, the parties said they have taken a unanimous decision on Mr. Sinha's candidature. NCP chief Sharad Pawar informed that Mr. Sinha will file his nomination on the 27th of this month. Voting for presidential elections will be held on 18th of next month. Political crisis has deepened in Maharashtra. Uddhav Thackeray-led Maha Vikas Aghadi MVA government in Maharashtra is facing its worst crisis since coming into power in 2019. Senior Shiv Sena leader and State Cabinet Minister Eknath Shinde has rebelled against Uddhav Thackeray leadership. Mr. Shinde has claimed the support of 40 Shiv Sena MLAs out of a total of 55 and took some of them to BJP-ruled Gujarat.
40 MLAs अभी यहाँ मौजूद है. सभी लोग जो है हम बाला साहब ठाकरे जी का जो हिंदुत्व है और उनकी जो भूमिका है उसको हम लोग आगे ले जाना चाहते हैं.
They were shifted to Guwahati in Assam from Surat this morning. To circumvent the anti-defection law, Mr. Shinde will need 2/3 of the 55 Shiv Sena MLAs, which comes to 37 on his side. We have a report from our Mumbai correspondent.
The Maha Vikas Aghadi government is in deep trouble as more than 37 MLAs are seen accompanying rebel Shiv Sena minister Eknath Shinde. While speaking to reporters in Guwahati, Mr. Shinde has claimed that he has come to the capital of Assam with 40 MLAs and 10 more would be soon joining him. Saying that he will not leave Shiv Sena, Shinde added that he believes on the agenda of Hindutva which was laid by late Shiv Sena Supremo Bala Saheb Thackeray. Shiv Sena MLA Pratap Sarnaik, a close confidant of Shinde, said that the MLAs want Shiv Sena BJP alliance in Maharashtra. There are reports that Eknath Shinde spoke to Uddhav Thackeray over phone from Surat yesterday and laid his conditions about the alliance in Maharashtra. However, nothing official has come from the Shiv Sena, which has a lot at stake from the point of view of state politics, the biggest being losing the coalition government which it has forged with the NCP and Congress. With Shailesh Patil, this is Kunal Shinde, AIR News, Mumbai.
Meanwhile, Shiv Sena MLAs who are supporting Mr. Thackeray have been shifted to a hotel in Lower Parel near Mumbai to protect them from poaching.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend the 14th Brics summit hosted by China on the 23rd and 24th of this month. The summit will be held in a virtual format under the theme of Foster High-Quality Brics Partnership, usher in a new era for global development. External Affairs Ministry said Brics has become a platform for discussing and deliberating on issues of common concern for all developing countries. During the 14th Brics Summit, deliberations are expected to be held in areas like terrorism, trade, health, environment and agriculture, among other issues. Brics countries have regularly called for reform of the multilateral system in order to make it more representative and inclusive. Prior to the summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also deliver a keynote speech virtually in the opening ceremony of the Brics Business Forum today.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will hold bilateral talks with Australian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Defence Richard Marles in New Delhi today. During the bilateral talks, the two ministers will review the defence cooperation between the two countries and explore new initiatives to further strengthen bilateral engagements. They will also exchange views on regional and global issues of shared interest. Mr. Richard Marles reached Goa on Monday on the first leg of his 4-day visit to India. He visited Goa Shipyard Limited yesterday. India and Australia share a comprehensive strategic partnership since June 2020, and defence is a key pillar of this partnership.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will be on a 4-day visit to Kigali in Rwanda from today to attend the 26th Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, CHOGM. He will be leading the Indian delegation to the CHOGM, which had earlier been postponed twice due to COVID-19 pandemic. The theme of the summit is delivering a common future, connecting, innovating, transforming. During the meeting, the leaders of the Commonwealth member states are scheduled to deliberate on issues of global challenges like climate change, food security and health issues. The Commonwealth provides an important platform to deepen India's engagement with Commonwealth members, in particular the small states and small island developing states. India is also one of the largest contributors to the Commonwealth and has assisted the organization with technical assistance and capacity building.
The government has stressed that the selection process for the recruitment of Agniveers under the newly launched Agnipath scheme will be transparent, fair and objective. The registration process for the recruitment of the first batch in the Indian Air Force will start from the 24th of this month. Army and Navy will start the registration process from the 1st of next month. Briefing media in New Delhi, Lieutenant General and Additional Secretary in the Department of Military Affairs, Anil Puri, said, no change will be made in the recruitment process and regimentation will remain unchanged. He said a helpline number 011-2301-3865 has been started to help the candidates.
मैं आपको आश्वासन देना चाहता हूं कि रिक्रूटमेंट के प्रोसेस में कोई चेंज नहीं है। जो अभी 5 साल पहले रिक्रूटमेंट प्रोसेस था या 2 साल पहले था और 5 दिन बाद होगा, प्रोसेस में कोई चेंज नहीं। तीनों सर्विसेज के जो प्रोसेस थे वो वैसे के वैसे रखे गए हैं। ऑल इंडिया ऑल क्लास के ऊपर लोग बोल रहे हैं, कोई फर्क नहीं है। पहले भी हम ऑल इंडिया ऑल क्लास थे, अब भी ऑल इंडिया ऑल क्लास रहेंगे। इसमें कोई किसी को, ये खासकर इसकी जरूरत है हमारे जो वेटरन भाई हैं जिन्होंने हमको ट्रेन करके यहाँ बिठाया है, उनके लिए है। कईयों के दिमाग में आशंका रही है कि इसके ऊपर कुछ हो रहा है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं। जो रेजिमेंटेशन का प्रोसेस है वो बिल्कुल अनचेंज्ड रहेगा।
Vice Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi said that the Indian Navy will publish the recruitment calendar for Agniveers today. He said the first batch of Agniveer will start their training on INS Chilka from the 21st of November of this year.
National Security Advisor Ajit Dobhal has said that Agniveers would never constitute the whole army. He said those Agniveers who become regulars eventually will undergo intensive training, acquire experience over a period of time. In an interview to a news agency, Mr. Dobhal said there is a need to look at it in a perspective. He said Agnipath is a game-changer scheme for a well-trained and agile army. He highlighted Agnipath is not a standalone scheme in itself.
अग्निवीर केवल पहले 4 साल में रिक्रूटेड जवान होंगे. They will be experienced, they will be trained and other, and these Agniveers, those who become the regulars eventually, will go through more intensive training, will acquire the experience, will become more worthy and more experienced over the period of time. So Indian Army at any point of time will have a large number of people who, though recruited as Agniveers, but had been specially selected for their suitability, for their fitness, for their agility, for their motivation and for their aptitude for the job. It is not only that the Indian Army will be having only this component. Yes, Indian Army will constitute at the level of the Jawans and the ORs who have been recruited through the process of Agniveer, specially selected, whose work, whose performance has been monitored.
The NSA underlined that when Prime Minister Narendra Modi came to power in 2014, one of his prime priorities was to make India secure and strong, and that required many avenues, many steps, multitude of them. You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Former Jharkhand Governor Draupadi Murmu to be BJP-led NDA candidate for presidential polls, opposition to field Yashwant Sinha as its candidate. Political crisis deepens in Maharashtra. Rebel Shiv Sena leader Eknath Shinde claims support of 40 MLAs. Rebel MLA shifted to Guwahati from Surat. Prime Minister to attend the 14th Brics summit hosted by China virtually on the 23rd and 24th of this month. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to hold bilateral talks with Australian Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister Richard Marles in New Delhi today. One Nation, One Ration Card scheme becomes operational in the entire country with its implementation in Assam. IMD issues orange alert for heavy rain till Saturday in coastal region of Maharashtra and Mumbai. Indian women's hockey team announced for FIH Women's Hockey World Cup. Indian women's wrestling team wins Under-17 Asian Championship with a total of 8 gold in Kyrgyzstan and Madhya Pradesh to take on Mumbai and Ranji Trophy finals in Bengaluru today. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
कंपटीशन की अगर आप कर रहे हैं तैयारी तो उनके लिए ऑल इंडिया रेडियो पर हम लाए हैं अभ्यास, एक ऐसा कार्यक्रम जिसमें आप पूछेंगे सवाल व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर या फिर ईमेल करेंगे abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर और हमारे विशेषज्ञ देंगे इसका जवाब। इस बार का विषय है इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी और सवाल भेजने की अंतिम तारीख है 22 जून। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
Welcome back to the morning news. Assam has become the 36th state or union territories to implement One Nation, One Ration Card scheme. With this, One Nation, One Ration Card scheme is successfully implemented in all the 36 states and union territories, making food security portable throughout the country. This scheme is aimed at enabling migrant workers and their family members to seamlessly lift their entitled subsidized food grains from any fair price shop of their choice anywhere in the country. One Nation, One Ration Card scheme has significantly contributed in ensuring subsidized food grains to beneficiaries, especially migrant beneficiaries during the COVID pandemic. Within a short span of time, it covered 80 crore beneficiaries. Since its inception in August 2019, about 71 crore portable transactions have taken place under this scheme, delivering food grains equivalent to 40,000 crore rupees as a food subsidy. Assam has been reeling under devastating floods for the last 8 days, and over 5,500 villages have been affected in 32 districts. Over 55 lakh people are affected and more than 2,62,000 people have taken shelter in relief camps in various parts of the state. Power cuts were reported in many flood-hit areas from the last several days. Nandita Gharlosa, Minister of Power, Government of Assam, informed that for the safety of the people, power supply was disconnected in several areas as electrical infrastructures have been damaged or submerged due to flood and erosion. Meanwhile, the flood situation has improved slightly in Brahmaputra Valley due to improved weather conditions, but remains critical in the 3 districts of the Barak Valley.
The city of Silchar, located in Barak Valley, is among the worst hit places in the state. Almost 90% of the houses in the area are facing waterlog issues. The city is facing shortage of drinking water, electricity, besides disruption of mobile and internet. We have more from our correspondent.
Homes of more than 3 lakh people are affected by the ongoing second spate of flood in the city of Silchar. Almost all the roads of the city have turned into waterways. The river Barak was flowing more than 1 meter and 65 centimeters over the danger mark. Water is flowing into the city from multiple points of damaged embankment of the river. There is almost no power in the city for last 52 hours. Army, SDRF and NDRF personnel are working round the clock for relief work. Resumption of electricity power is urgently required for drinking water as well as basic communication. Shashwati Bhattacharya, AIR News, Silchar.
IMD's forecast intense rainfall activity till Saturday in Mumbai as well as the entire coastal region of Maharashtra. The IMD's forecast stated that the new wet spell will be driven by a combination of an offshore trough and strong westerly winds along the west coast that will bring in moisture-laden winds over to the region. It added that these meteorological factors will lead to widespread rains and thunderstorms along with heavy to very heavy rainfall in isolated locations across the Konkan belt. This includes the districts of Mumbai, Thane, Raigad, Ratnagiri and Sindhudurg for the next 5 days. And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
22nd of June 1900 is the birth anniversary of freedom fighter Ganesh Ghosh. His family hails from Chittagong, now in Bangladesh. Ganesh Ghosh was an active member of the Chittagong Jugantar Party. He participated in the Chittagong Armory raid, along with Surya Sen and other revolutionaries on 18th of April 1930. He was later arrested by the police and after the trial, Ganesh Ghosh was deported to the cellular jail in Port Blair in 1932. He remained in the cellular jail for 14 years.
After his release from jail in 1946, he became a leader of the Communist Party. He was elected to the West Bengal Legislative Assembly in 1952, 1957 and 1962 as a Communist Party of India candidate from Belagatia. He also served as a member of the 4th Lok Sabha in 1967. Ganesh Ghosh continued to work for the nation till his last breath. We salute the brave nationalists.
Also on 22nd of June 1897, the Chapekar brothers shot the British Plague Commissioner W.C. Rand. The brothers, namely Damodar Hari, Balakrishna Hari, Vasudeva Hari, belonged to Chinchwad in the city of Pune, India. When the bubonic plague hit India in 1896-97, the government had set up a special plague committee for managing the pandemic, whose commissioner was Walter Charles Rand.
सेनापती रँड बेदरकार लोकांवर जुलूम अत्याचार दुष्ट नीतीचं होत सरकार जी दुष्ट नीतीचं होत सरकार जी.
Commissioner Rand took barbaric steps in the name of preventive measures. Troops were brought in to deal with the emergency. The measures employed included entry into private houses, stripping and examination of occupants, including women, by British officers in public, evacuations to hospitals and segregation camps. He even refused to pay heed to religious sentiment and enter temples and mosques. These measures were considered oppressive by the populace of Pune, and complaints were ignored by Rand. Thus, to put an end to the injustice borne by the people of Pune, the Chapekar brothers decided to take revenge.
दामोदर पहिला क्रांतिकारी लढाईची करतो तयारी मर्दाची मर्दनगी कारी हजी जी मर्दाची मर्दनगी कारी हजी.
On the occasion of the Diamond Jubilee of the coronation of Queen Victoria on 22nd of June 1897, Rand and his military escort, Lieutenant Ayest, was shot by the Chapekar brothers. Ayest died on the spot, and Rand died of his wounds on 3rd of July. The Chapekar brothers and their 2 supporters were charged with the murders. All 3 brothers were found guilty and hanged. AIR News salutes the brave sons of the soil.
We also remember freedom fighters Mam Raj and Ram Swaroop, who belonged to district Bhiwani of Haryana. They joined the British Indian Army but resigned after some time and took part in Kisan activities from 1931 to 1935.
और जिन्होंने झंडा फहराया था कि वो असली मर्दान थे.
They were involved in an attack on the British police. They were also involved in the murder of an informer of the Nawab.
They remained underground for some time, reached Ambala cantonment and stayed there with some soldiers from their villages. Finally, they were arrested in June 1937 and sent to Luharu fort and charged with murder and dacoity. Mamraj and Ramswarup were hanged on 22nd of June 1938. AIR News salutes the brave sons of the foil.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
Now news from the world of sports. Hockey India has announced the 18-member women's team for the upcoming FIH Hockey World Cup to be held in Netherlands and Spain from the 1st of next month. India, grouped in Pool B along with England, New Zealand and China, will begin their campaign on 3rd of next month against nemesis England. Indian women's hockey team defeated the USA 4-2 in the first match of the final double-header of the FIH Pro League 2021-22 at Rotterdam in Netherlands last night. With 3 points from the match, India remained third in the FIH Pro League standings, amassing 27 points from 13 games.
Indian women's wrestling team has won 5 medals to claim Under-17 Asian Championship title with a total of 8 gold at Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan. India lifted the title with a total of 235 points from 8 golds, 1 silver, 1 bronze. Japan had to be content with the runners-up trophy with 143 points and Mongolia finished third with 138 points. Madhya Pradesh will take on Mumbai in Ranji Trophy finals at M. Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru today. This is the first ever Ranji finals for Madhya Pradesh, while Mumbai look to lift the Ranji Trophy for the 42nd time. India Under-17 women's football team will take on host Italy in their first match of the 6th Torneo female tournament today at Gradisca di Zonzo Stadium in Italy. Netherlands and Mexico are the 2 other teams competing in the tournament. The tournament will serve as part of its preparation for the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup that is set to be held from 11th October this year. And now an overview of today's newspapers. Almost all newspapers today carry pictures of enthusiastic yoga practitioners led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the mass yoga session to celebrate the 8th International Yoga Day at Mysore Palace in Mysuru. The other story that steals the limelight today is the declaration of candidates for the presidential election. Draupadi Murmu is NDA pick. Opposition parties feel Sena, headlines The Hindu. To address the heat building over the recruitment of Agniveers, 3 service chiefs brief Modi amid simmering Agnipath Rao, informs the Hindustan Times. On the financial front, GOM proposes removal of many GST exemptions, highlights the Financial Express. In a bid to contain further deterioration of the environment, single-use plastic banned in Delhi, headlines are Pioneer. And finally, with the NDA all set to admit women cadets for the first time this year, the Indian Express has a picture of a proud Shannon Dhaka, entrance topper of NDA's first women's batch.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Former Jharkhand Governor Draupadi Murmu to be BJP-led NDA candidate for presidential polls. Opposition to field Yashwant Sinha as its candidate. Political crisis deepens in Maharashtra. Rebel Shiv Sena leader Eknath Shinde claims support of 40 MLAs. Rebel MLAs shifted to Guwahati from Surat. Prime Minister to attend 14th Brics summit hosted by China virtually on 23rd and 24th of this month. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to hold bilateral talks with Australian Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister Richard Marles in New Delhi today. One Nation, One Ration card scheme becomes operational in the entire country with its implementation in Assam. IMD issues orange alert for heavy rain till Saturday in coastal region of Maharashtra and Mumbai. Indian women's hockey team announced for FIH Women's Hockey World Cup. Indian women's wrestling team wins Under-17 Asian Championship with a total of 8 gold in Kyrgyzstan. And Madhya Pradesh to take on Mumbai in Ranji Trophy finals in Bengaluru today. And with that we end the morning news. Have a nice day.